You're right, guys. Shay here. Hope you guys are well. I hope you are well today. I am very well. I'm very excited today to be hosting a very large group of fantastic guests for this show as we unpack the India versus England Test series. Four Test matches starting on Friday in Chennai for the first two tests. Then we go to Ahmedabad for the third and fourth tests. With me, as I mentioned, I've got a fantastic panel today as we unpack the series. I've got Vijay Natva here, Test cricket enthusiast and India super fan. I've got singer, songwriter, entrepreneur, Krishna Kalki here. Got his own YouTube channel. This guy, I'm sure he can do a Zoom concert if you need to. He's a bit of everything. Go check him on Instagram. I've got Aditya Mehta to my left here. A big part of Cricket Fanatics magazine. You would have seen me doing a couple of shows with him on there. I've got the resident England fan. I had to bring one England fan, didn't I, on here? So I've got Lucy Reese. Excuse her accent, but she is representing England today. Don't forget to England and Wales cricket ball, guys. So we've got Lucy here. She's actually studying Gloucestershire, but she's obviously Welsh. You'll see later on. And I've got India super fan Anurag here as well to kind of prop up the panel here today. And making a 4-2 split. So Lucy, but I'm on your team today. I am not just going to be sitting on the fence. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, just here, guys, to discuss the up-and-coming Test match. Obviously, England 4 years ago got absolutely smashed 4-0. You'll remember. Well, I remember with very horrible memories. We managed to draw the first Test, did quite well, and then it was all downhill from there. It was convincing losses from our side. I think it was 246 runs, 2 innings losses, and an 8-wicket loss. So not happy memories at all. But hopefully this time we can compete a little bit better. If we just start, guys, just to kind of jog people's memories of the squads going into the Test matches. So for the first two tests, I've got King Kohli. Virat Kohli is back leading the side. We got Rohit Sharma, Mayank Agarwal, Shubman Gill, Chhattiswal Pujara, Ajinkya Rahane, now announced the official vice captain. KRL back from injury. Hardik Pandya in, I believe, as a specialist batsman only. Rishabh Pant, Vitamin Saha, Ravi Ashwin, Kuldeep Yadav, Akshar Patel has been recalled to the squad. Washington Sundar, Officer Rowics in Australia, is in the squad. Ishant Sharma back from injury. Jasprit Bumrah back from the injury after missing the fourth test. Mohammad Siraj and Shardul Thakur. That's the India squad. And we go to the visitors. For the first test, there is a tweak to this, but I will announce it initially. We've got Joe Root as captain, Jofra Archer, Moeen Ali, James Allinson, Dominic Bess, Stuart Broad, Rory Burns back in the squad, Josh Butler, only for the first test, Zach Crawley, we'll get to a bit later, and new news on him. Ben Foakes back in the squad. We're playing the last 3 tests. Dan Lawrence made his debut in Sri Lanka, is still in the squad. Jack Leach, Dominic Sibley, fresh off his 50 in the final test against Sri Lanka. Ben Stokes, the talisman for England, is back in the squad. Thank goodness for that. Ollie Stone, Chris Wokes, and the reserves are James Bracey, Mason Crane, Sakib Mahmood. And then we've got the spinners, Matt Parkinson and Ame Verdi, along with Seema Ollie Robinson. So they are the 2 squads, guys. It looks like it could be a cracker. Obviously, the combination of 2 colossal sides, obviously high off 2 very good wins. But let's be honest, Australia and Sri Lanka, it's over now. It's done with. It's time to get down dirty from Friday onwards. If we just go to the fitness status of both sides, and in fact, actually, Lucy off camera mentioned to us something that just broke actually regards to England squad. Lucy, do you want to tell us what that is?
Yeah, so I've just read that Zach Crawley has slipped in the nets and injured his wrist, so he's not looking good for the first test.
Is there anything else, Lucy, you want to talk about the squad? Are we injury free apart from that?
More or less, yeah.
Good. It's a full squad to pick from. And if we go to the India squad, Vijay, is there any recent announcements? Everyone fit and ready to go from the India side?
Sure. As of now, I don't have any updates regarding the Indian team. Everything as per the squad which was mentioned, right? Most probably, as per my understanding, and they should be playing Wriddhiman Saha in place of Rishabh Pant, just to make sure that keeping is in place, because I'm sure that Wriddhiman Saha can go ahead and can do good with the bat, at least in Indian conditions. But keeping is pretty much important, because handling the spin, it's not. I'm not saying that Rishabh Pant done badly, but for sure this is very important case at this point of time. This is just my opinion. Probably Wriddhiman Saha will be there at least for Chennai Test match. I'm not saying anything about Motera later in the month. for at least first 2 test matches, which are there scheduled in Chennai, Saha will be available. This is as per my understanding.
You touched upon the. Thank you, VJ. So I'm going to assume that the squad that I read up before is a fully fit squad. There's no slips in the nets as England have had a few minutes ago. So we obviously go with a fully fit squad. Christian, I'll head to you. What do we expect? Obviously, especially for the English fans here, how should we expect the Chennai strip to play?
Well, at least Chennai pitch usually is a rank turner most of the time. It's those sort of sticky wickets that, where the ball grips, ball slows down. So you can expect Ashwin and Sundar and the likes of even Akshar, if he plays, to have an effect there. I think, I guess with respect to the English batting, they're going to have to negotiate the spinners really well. And much of their success in India will depend on how they negotiate the spin bowlers. So, yeah, I guess it's just a matter of that.
Anurag, I saw an article on Cricinfo mentioning about I think a change in curator at the Chepauk Stadium, and it was I didn't read the actual article, I just touched upon it. I don't know if you read it at all. Are we expecting a rank turner on this wicket? I mean, obviously, remember 8 years ago in 12-13 series where England won 2-1, a fantastic victory, obviously. India fell into kind of a false insecurity, in my opinion, and they prepared rank turner wickets. But obviously, they failed to remember that Graham Swan and Monty Panesar are pretty good spinners. Now we'll get us obviously to team of the spinners on both sides later on. Do you expect the same thing to happen again, or do you think because maybe there's been a much more of a selection of Indian seamers that have come to the fore in the last 8 years, that maybe they prepare something? I'm not saying a green top, obviously. I'm not expecting Durham in April or May, but something that will assist the seamers as well as the spinners.
So, Shay, if you remember what happened in 2012, the Mumbai pitch actually assisted spin bowlers who actually bowl with a good pace. Monty Panesar and Graham Swan almost reached 90 kilometers per hour every delivery. Whereas you see Pragyan Ojha and Ashwin were relatively younger bowlers who were trying to make their mark in international cricket. So you would say they were relatively inexperienced in those kind of conditions. But now you see the Indian squad is really experienced. They'll make sure to take wickets on any kind of pitches and not just raging turners. And I think the pitches will be batting friendly as well. As I'm a stat guy, if I remember the 2016 wicket, it was a lot of runs. You see Karun Nair has scored a triple century on that. You had Moeen Ali scoring a century as well. So any batsman who is going to respect bowlers, plays away the bad balls, is going to score runs at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think any for me, apologies to any Worcestershire players, but if any test strip that can allow Moeen Ali to score a century is obviously quite decent batting on, in my opinion. But there we go. That's it for another time. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, sorry, Anna, just let you know, Anna, right? There's a bit of an echo when you're speaking there. I got some of the points, but I don't know if the guys, did you guys hear that? I don't know. But just there's a bit of an echo when you were talking. I got the majority though. I just wanted to point that out. Aditya, so. Obviously, we've elaborated a bit now. Do you expect the same kind of wicket? Do you feel like maybe there'll be assistance for both seamers and spinners? Oh, I think take yourself on mute there, Aditya.
Sorry. I'm not sure if we're going to prepare rank turners as we have previously, but there is the selection question is always going to be between India playing 3 spinners versus 2 spinners, and that's more of a balance question, because if Kuldeep Yadav, who offers the left arm Chinaman variation, plays, then that makes the tail too long. But then on the other hand, if you play Washington Sundar, that makes Sundar and Ashwin sort of similar types of players, similar types of spinners. So it's a difficult question for the selectors to answer, and for the team management to answer. But if it were up to me, I'd probably go with the 3 spinner attack, and I'd be keen to see what Hardik Pandya's status is, because so far what we've been told is that his return to bowling would be gradual, and he did bowl a couple of overs in the limited overs leg of the Australia series. So we don't know if he's ready to bowl in Test match cricket just yet. But that's definitely an important one. With that said, for rank turners, I think after the 2015 series against South Africa, where literally every pitch was a dust bowl, generally, I don't think that was good for Test cricket. And for a series that was a marquee series at the time, No one wanted to see games, finish off in 3 days, and let alone the South African batsmen. Even the Indian batsmen were not able to score hundreds. I think it took Ajinkya Rahane the flattest wicket in that series to score 100. So I don't think anyone wants to see a repeat of that. So my guess is that batting will be great for the first 2.5, 3 days, but then post that it's going to turn quite a bit and it'll be challenging for batters.
Vijay, I'll head to you. Do you think that maybe the injury to Ravindra Jadeja, who offers such good, such solidity as a batsman, as a bowler? I think I saw a stat this morning. I think he was averaging over 45 with the bat and under 27 with the ball over the past 5 years. I mean, phenomenal stats, better than Ben Stokes, as well regarded as best all-rounder in the world. Do you feel maybe the injury to Jadeja has maybe affected India's planning for the balance of the side?
Absolutely. Missing Jadeja is will be one of the major hits for India, because the way he performed in Test match cricket, at least for the last 3-4 years away, as well as in India. And even if you consider the last Test, which was concluded in 2016 against England, he played a crucial role. For that matter, even Jadhav, for that matter, he hit a century in that particular series. And the way Jadeja bowled, he took, if I'm not wrong, he took 7 wickets in the last Test match, which was concluded in Chennai. If I'm not wrong, that too in the last innings, bowling out England on the final day, if I'm not wrong. And India will be missing his duties. But for sure, I understand that he did his job when he was working in Australia. We do have some backup for Jadeja. We'll be missing his wrist spin for sure, but we have China arm spinner in the form of Kuldeep Yadav. And I completely agree with Aditya, what exactly Aditya was mentioning. India should go with 3 spinners, but I still have the gut feeling that India should go with 2 spinners. One is Ravichandran Ashwin and one is Kuldeep Yadav. Because if you go with Washington Sundar again, I understand he's doing, and he will have his sample of opportunities going forward. This is what I feel. But at least for Jadeja miss case, right? I'm sure that India is going to miss a lot of his duties in the next 4 tests which are going to happen.
Okay, thank you, Vijay. If we just stick on the subject of spinners, obviously head to England spinners now. Now, Lucy, obviously, we're going to go in with Jack Leach and Dominic Bess as our frontline pair. There's obviously talks of Moeen Ali come back to the side as well to bat at 7 in place of Sam Curran. Obviously, Chris Woakes may have something to do with that. Now, do you feel that England, the balance should be the same as in Sri Lanka, to go with 3 seamers and 2 spinners? Now, bear in mind that Ben Stokes is going to come back to the side and probably batting a top 5, and obviously offers a seam bowling option. Is this an eternal question? Obviously, Aditya, you've heard me say this about South Africa and their approach to the Pakistan first test. It's not necessarily a case of irrespective of the wicket, sometimes you go with your best bowlers and they'll find a way if there's some kind of assistance. We saw Kagisa Rabad in that first innings in Pakistan make the ball talk very well. He was much more effective than Linda and Mirage. Now, if there's something on offer for the seamers, do England go in with their best bowlers as opposed to their best spinners? If that makes sense. Do they trust the likes of Anderson, Broad, Woakes, Stokes, etc. to take 20 wickets? Or because India, do you simply say, we've got to go with 3 spinners? Would you say that Ben Stokes be more effective than Moeen Ali? Or Chris Woakes more effective? You see, that's the question. So, Lucifer, come to you. What do you think is best approach for England to take 20 wickets consistently in the 4 test matches?
Well, I see where you're coming from, meaning best bowlers over spinners. But looking at the pitch, and I was speaking to Aaron, the cricket connoisseur, about what the pitch is going to be doing, and he said it is going to be a very spin-friendly pitch. So I would go in with the 3 spinners. I would.
Okay, Christian, do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I actually agree with Lucy there. I think. See, the thing is with England, right? You need to have bowlers that can sort of trouble the Indian batsmen, because if you allow them to get runs and score 400 plus totals against you, it's going to be very difficult for England to sort of come back into it. A lot of pressure is going to be on Joe Root to score, especially because the rest of the English batsmen didn't have that great of a series in Sri Lanka. So coming to the English bowlers though, I would play all three of them, and I would give them the confidence and say, you know what, go for it. Because, Leach had a good series in Sri Lanka. Best had a good series. Ali's also coming back, and Ali's troubled India before, both mostly in England, but he has a good record against Indian batsmen. So I'd play all three spinners.
Okay. And Anurag, do you agree with that?
Definitely. So I was reading one of Wisden's articles.
Anurag, you there? Just about hear you, Anurag. Oh.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, there you are. Anurag, yeah.
Yeah, so I agree with Krishna. He wanted to play a three spinners, and there was also an article from Wisden which said these are extraordinary times, and it requires a cricketer like Moeen Ali to be present in the England squad to help them play against a great opposition like India. So it's always horses for courses. So just go with the three spinners, have your second seamer as Ben Stokes, and just rile up the Indian batsmen.
Fair enough. Okay, Aditya, final person on this topic.
I'm 50-50 on it, to be honest, because I think with India having a three spinner attack against England, that makes sense because that would trouble the English batsmen. I don't know if England having three spinners would trouble the Indian batsmen, because the Indian batsmen are used to playing quality spinners. And although Bess has had a good series in South Africa in 2019-20, he did well in Sri Lanka as well. He's playing against a far more settled batting lineup. Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli are not going to be as forgiving as some of the South African batsmen were and Sri Lankan batsmen were. And so I don't know. I'm 50-50 on it. Personally, I'm a fan of Moeen Ali, and I think I think England are going to need his batting quite a lot because he's an experienced campaigner in the subcontinent. But I do think that there is a case for England, employing that wicket-to-wicket approach, just to offer some sort of variation. I think that's the key. It's not necessarily about exploiting a rank turn or exploiting the conditions. It's just about, unsettling the opposition a little bit. And that may not always be predicated in the conditions and what resources you have in your armory.
Yeah, my worry would be with Moeen Ali, for example. He's not played Test cricket for a long, long time. He's been on the wane for some time as well now. Apart from T20 cricket, he's not been effective in England shirt for a couple of years now. And I feel like with Bess, Leach, and Moeen Ali, and be completely honest, there's no mystery about them whatsoever as spinners. They're pretty orthodox spinners. There's no element of a Murali or a Shane Warne. Or even if we go back and forget about that, let's go to England 8 years ago. I refer to that because obviously England won then. Graham Swan's absolute peak of his powers at that point. Did everything. Monty Panesar was suited, as Anurag quite well pointed out. He bowled the right pace for those wickets. I also think the batting for India maybe wasn't as strong as you could argue now. The current that are available to India. So I'm not. I feel like with Bess and Leach, I think DT put it right. Is like, England facing India spinners is a whole different ball game to India facing the England spinners because of the quality, the disparity in the quality between the two. But you bring in Washington Sundar, look how an easy we saw him in Australia on Test debut. Phenomenal thing. And I just don't think we had that kind of, depth in the ranks. But we'll see. Maybe Moeen Ali will get a chance. But I worry about his rustiness as well. His rustiness. He hasn't played for so long. But he has obviously a history of playing in India, which is important, I think. And India tour, it can be quite, without the crowds, obviously, it's a little bit easier, but it can be quite overwhelming. It's touring India. It's obviously very early conditions to what England are used to. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they do plump for Ali. If you head to the next point, so we go to the batsmen for England and how they played spin in Sri Lanka in particular. I think it was almost like a warm-up, you could say, for the India series on playing the subcontinent, albeit against, I would say, weaker spin bowlers outside of M. Buldanaya. VJ, if we head to you on this point, do you expect them to employ the same tactics? A lot was made of Joe Root's sweep in that series. Obviously made 228 and 186. Absolutely phenomenal series for him. But it's not, and we saw Sri Lanka trying to adapt the same tactics to less positive effect in the second test. It's not a simple case of just sweep every bowler, obviously. Now, what I feel the craftiness of an Ashwin, of a Sundar, because they're tall and able to get more bounce, it's not so easy to get to the pitch of the ball and sweep so comfortably in those wickets. But do you expect England, VJ, to go with the same tactic as they employ in Sri Lanka, or take maybe a more aggressive approach, go over the top a bit more down the ground, or go square?
Ishai, thank you for giving me this question. The major difference between Gal as well as even when you compare Chennai or even Motera for that matter, which is going to come in the later part of this month, the problem is the bounce. The bounce in Sri Lanka is very much less compared to one which is there in India, at least in Chennai. And for that matter, when even Matthew Hayden used to adopted to this sweep even before coming to subcontinent for at least 2 to 3 months. He used to practice for 2 to 3 months when he started his career in 2000. And he's the first person who introduced the Australians to know how to face spinners by sweeping. Sweeping is his main getaway ball or dominate the spinners. And this is the best practice which was being adopted by Kevin Peterson also. When he played in that Mumbai Test match in 2012, that was one of the memorable Test match. I cannot say that was memorable for me, but absolutely it was a gem of an innings, which anyone can remember for lifelong. And that made that kind of innings. I can say that I cannot say that Joe Root played that kind of innings in the last 2 Test matches, even though he scored bulk of runs, one double hundred, one around 190. Unfortunately, he got somewhere around 190 in the second Test match at goal. But the thing is, they need to adopt to the bounce. Actually, they can't directly go ahead and can rely on that particular getaway shot, the sweep. They need to understand the bounce first, and then because if you see Ashwin, even the recently concluded Test series in Australia, there were a couple of incidents where Matthew Wade got cloud when he was trying to sweep. And Ashwin was so clever that he looked in the ball and made Matthew Wade to come on front foot, and he disguided or misguided him, so that when you try to attack, Ashwin is that kind of a bowler who can come up with some variation. That's the reason why sweep will come into picture at least after facing 40 to 60 balls. This is what I see, and I'm not sure. I'm sure that sweep is one of the getaway ball, and front foot, front padding is one of the best defense which I can say, which Pujara follows.
Christian, what would your opinion on this be? What is England's best approach to scoring big runs on this wicket?
Well, for starters, I think to sort of counter Ashwin and counter Sundar, counter the likes of Kuldeep and all that, I think firstly they should respect them and sort of not really look to score quick runs, but at the same time show positive intent. I'm not one to talk about technique because that's not really my area of expertise or anything. But I can tell you, at least from a mindset point of view, that I think basically they should look to bat long sessions, sort of like Vijay said, follow the Pujara approach in a way, and put away bad balls. I guess if they sort of try to score runs quickly, score big shots and just say let's throw the kitchen sink at India's bowlers, I think they'll have a tough time because India will be smart enough to counter that. Especially Vijay mentioned that Joe Root was caught, he was sweeping a lot in the Sri Lankan series, right? So India will have plans for Joe Root. So Joe Root will have to be wary of that, conscious of that, and respond accordingly in these Test matches. But basically, batsmen should look to bat long sessions. People like Dan Lawrence, people like Dom Sibley, Rory Burns, all these guys should take onus on themselves and say, I'm going to get hundreds today. I'm going to get 50s, 80s at least. Just look to bat long sessions.
And Anurag, we head to you. If you're Chris Silverwood and you're seeing instructing your troops here on the field in, say, first day England are batting, what would your approach be? Would it be an aggressive mindset to get runs on the ball? Because to me, I think England personally, they're going to try and stay in the game as long as possible and hope something happens. I think that's their best chance of winning, to be completely honest. To put big runs on the board first up and hope that, there's some kind of meltdown from India's batting. I think that's their best chance. I think play for player, they can't win in India, you would say. You just run through the team. They're not as good. So they have to rely on the Stokes, the Roots, the Gun players to go big and hope India have a bit of a meltdown. But Anurag, to lead to that, would you go the kind of, as Christian rightly says, play session by session, ball by ball, over by over? Or should maybe certain batsmen have certain game plans, like the Butler, for example? Maybe he can play the aggressor in the middle order. And then we say to someone like Dom Sibley, you set up camp, you set up the table and let everyone eat afterwards. What would you say, Anurag?
Well, in addition to what Krishna had said, many things have to go in England's way. But the first thing would be to win the toss and bat first. I mean, if they win the toss, and they're definitely going to post a huge total, what I feel. Also, one more controversial opinion I'd like to bring is, other than Joe Root, every other batsman would try to sweep premeditatedly. It's not a conventional sweep based on the merit of the ball. So if England can avoid that premeditated sweeps just to counter the spinners, I think they are up to posting huge totals in the first innings.
So you think either side who wins the toss and bats first for sure, and you expect them to go big, irrespective of whoever wins. Okay. Aditya, would you concur with that?
Oh, well, it's a difficult question to answer because having seen Joe Root's series against Sri Lanka, Ashwin being the analytical mind that he is going to take that scoring option out of Root's game. So Root will have to come up with alternatives, and I suppose his best option is playing as straight as possible. And quite frankly, from an aggressive point of view, they want to rotate strike as much as possible. We had on Cricket Fanatics, we had this conversation about the South Africans really being sort of obsessed with pushing the game forward. When the right option was really to sort of just hang in there for a bit and not worry about scoring rate. Eventually, they'll get their opportunity to score, and I'd say that same strategy would work with the Indians, except the Indians are going to be relentless. It's not going to be easy, and I don't think the English batsmen are ever going to feel settled. So they're going to have to concentrate hard, and they're going to have to focus on batting long. But they also can't. I don't think they should be overawed by the occasion that that they're facing world-class spinners, and the subcontinent is among the most difficult places to bat. I think sometimes that gets the better of opposition teams, and I think England are going to have to avoid that if they have any chance of winning.
I think it's a very good point, actually. I think if you take out, just remember that obviously it's 11 men against 11 men. Ultimately, if they look at the team sheet and say, "Oh, Kohli, Ashwin, etc.," they could become a little bit intimidated, especially the likes of Adon Best, Jack Leach. Kind of people who are not used to these kind of tools. I would say so early on in their careers. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see from a mindset point of view how England approach this test. If you go to play selection, guys, Lucy, I'll start with you. We did touch on it before about maybe the bowling strategy and the balance of the side. In terms of the batsmen, who would you go with as your top six? Obviously, Stokes returned. Bairstow's obviously out for this first test. Rory Burns is back. Obviously, after the birth of his first child, he's back in the squad. Now we hear Zach Crawley has injured his wrist and probably not going to play that first test, which obviously makes it, in my opinion, a lot easier to pick that top three, right? But who would you go with, Lucy?
I'd definitely go with Burns in the top three, I think.
So Burns over with Sibley?
Yeah, I think. And I'd have...
Who's going three? Because no Bairstow, isn't it? We haven't got Johnny Bairstow in this test. Do you put Stokes in at three? Do you push Joe Root? Listen, please, mate, just go in at three. I know you hate it, but do you do three after coming off two massive scores in Sri Lanka at 4?
I probably would, yeah, looking at it. I'd probably just give him a bit of a nudge and say that, yeah. I think he can handle it, looking at how he did in Sri Lanka, so yeah.
What do you do with Ben Stokes?
I'd bring him in. I'd probably bring in him. Well, I'd actually look at him and Joe Root and probably put one of them in at 3. I think third's a bit of an awkward position, and especially now we haven't got Bairstow, because I would have put him in 3. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, obviously, I think a lot will rest on, Anurag mentioned before about bringing in Ben Stokes as a second seamer, just kind of rough up the ball ready for the spinners. I think that will be a big part of it, because I agree. I think Stokes could bat at 3. He's batted 3 before. And he's someone, I think if it's not relied too much on with the ball, I think you could say to him, listen, your role here is pretty much to bat in this test series. Then you could put him at 3. So I think Joe Root is absolutely loath to bat at 3. I think he hates it. I think Bayliss must have pinned into a chair for the time he was in charge. He must have been so happy when Bayliss left, because Silverwood said, "Don't you know, Yorkshire boy to Yorkshire boy, and you can go and go back at 4." VJ, what would you do in terms of England? We'll stay with England for now. What would your balance of the side be? Don't forget as well, guys, you've got Jofra Archer back in the squad as well. Oh, you're on mute there, VJ.
Yeah, I still feel like Stokes should be batting 4 down, because he is capable of scoring at least 150 runs along with the tail. I had a number of experiences watching him. I don't want to bring up him in the order. I'll make sure that the openers will do the job, and Joe Root, which he's doing from time now, he will go ahead and will continue doing the same. Anyways, we have Butler coming ahead of Stokes. I see Butler should be coming ahead of Stokes. And I mean, like Jose Butler as well as Ben Stokes, I'm sure that both will do the responsibilities similarly. There are a lot of similarities between these 2 players when they're batting. And you can, I still feel like Jose Butler is more capable of batting along with the tail.
I've got 2 words here as well. There was something that came out I saw on Instagram today, and that's Ollie Pope, who actually really thought like a nice curveball for England, because apparently he's now fit. Because he was not part of the official squad, as you heard I mentioned before, but he announced himself as fit and actually now part of the squad. Now, I think that's because maybe Zach Crawley, I'm not sure when his injury occurred, but is there a timing on that? Like Crawley's got injured. Pope made 50 in the warm-up game prior to the first test in Sri Lanka. He was okay. He made unbeaten 50 in that warm-up game in the inter-squad game. So he obviously batted okay. He's had more time to rehabilitate as well. Ollie Pope is a wonderful player. We think he'll go on to do great things. Hopefully, he'll be our Marnus Labuschagne for England. We hope, but I think he possibly offers a great solution here. I mean, would you go with Ollie Pope, VJ, for possibly for this lineup? You got Dan Lawrence there as well.
Exactly. I saw Bob Batty when India were touring England in 2018 series also. When India were in England, I think he got a chance to play in 4th test match or 5th test match. I don't remember that exactly, but we got a very good impression of that particular match. Like he batted the one down the order, if I'm not wrong. Yes, I go with that particular guy. Yeah.
Okay, Anurag, we head to you just for the England. In terms of stay with England just for now. Last guest to wrap it up, but what would your 11 be? Let's go with the full 11 for England. Obviously, being a huge India fan, you know the weaknesses. What would be the best balanced side for England to win the first test match?
So I'd go with the regular openers. One would be Rory Burns, and he'd be accompanied by Sibley. Then one down, I'll make sure Stokes comes. He has experience playing in that spot. Then there'll be Joe Root, who has scored mammoth runs in the previous series. Then I'll have Ollie Pope. Then I'm a huge fan of Moeen Ali as well. Then I'll ensure he's slotted as well. Then I'm picking the other 2.
Sorry, okay.
That's it. Then I'll have the 2 spinners. Then I'll have the 3 seamers who's going to attack, like James Anderson, Broad, and Archer as well.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so no Dan Lawrence.
Not really. I mean, he's portrayed real good confidence, but I think he'll make up in the 3rd or 4th test match when he'll get picked. But for now, let the seniors take his position and make merry.
There has to obviously be the question. I mean, Josh Butler needs to be in there as well, doesn't he? He's a keeper. Josh Butler needs to be probably somewhere, I imagine. But Aditya, if I go to you, what would your lineup be for England?
I'd go with Burns, Sibley, Joss Butler at 3, Joe Root at 4, Stokes at 5, Ollie Pope at 6, and I think Sam Curran's in the team as well, right?
Sam Curran is in the squad, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, no, sorry, no. Sam Curran's not. He's been rested for the first 2 Test matches.
Okay.
But Chris
okay.
Woakes is there.
Okay. So then, Moeen Ali, Leach, Bess, Anderson, and Archer.
Do we have Butler in there, Aditya?
Yeah, number 3.
You got Butler. Okay, interesting. Okay, all right. So that's a very aggressive move. That's at Butler 3. Okay, sorry, missed that part. Interesting. That's interesting. Everyone had a different side there. I like to see the pitch. I think if it's going to be a ranked turner, personally, I go with Root at 4, and he becomes a third spinner. I just don't trust Moeen Ali. And I think you and me are very much polar opposites in this regard. I'm just not a big fan of Mo. Lucy knows this. I think I've had back and forth. You mentioned Cricket Connoisseur before. Me and him have back and forth about this guy, So I think he needs to throw him out with the trash, to be honest, and bring someone else in. But anyway, I'll leave it for another day. If we go over to India, because I'm very interested to hear your opinions, guys, on the Indian side, because obviously a lot of people coming back. Pramod Bhaskar, I'll bring up his point actually because that's interesting to bring us in regards to this topic. India not having Jadeja, Umashiyada, and Shami is a huge blow, both in terms of experience and quality at home. That I agree with, but you've got Ishant Sharma and Bumrah's back as well, isn't he? So you've got 2 world-class operators coming back in. And I'd argue Ishant Sharma is now a more effective seamer for India, home and away, than Umesh Yadav, personally. I think Sharma would have played ahead of Yadav if he was fit for the Australia tour. Maybe I'm wrong. You guys can correct me. But yeah, if we go to you, Krishna, in this respect, for the India lineup, you're Ravi Shastri. Who do we pick for the 11?
Well, man, if I'm Ravi Shastri, I'm a lucky man. Huh? Okay. Okay. Firstly, I think the openers pick themselves. I guess it's Rohit and Gill. There's no doubt that Gill is in prime form. He's a hot prospect for the future for India. So I think Gill will definitely play. There's no doubt. Between Rohit and Mayank, I think they want to play Rohit because India they're just so just so proud of Rohit and his accomplishments everywhere, and they're so happy that Rohit has gotten runs for India and now has made himself a mainstay opener for India in Test cricket. So Rohit will play. In my opinion, Kohli, of course, at 3. Kohli at 4, Pujara at 3. My bad. Rahane at 5. I think that is pretty much set. At 6, I think. So they have the options of Pant. They have Hardik. They have. Ashwin also could play there with Saha at 7, but I personally would like to see Pant at 6 because I think Pant has had such a good series in Australia that he's virtually undroppable in my opinion. Even though yes, we are playing on Indian wickets and there is a need for a keeper. I think it's very hard to leave a guy who almost won you that 3rd Test match. He's the only guy who thought India could win that Test match. Let's be honest. And the 4th Test match, of course, he won you that game as well. So it's hard to leave a guy like that out of the squad. I'd be very upset if they did. So Pant at 6 for me. I think at 7, I'd like to see Ashwin there at 7. I think I'd back Ashwin to bat at 7 because Ashwin has shown that he can do it with the bat. At least he's a capable enough batsman. And along with Sundar at 8, I think that's a reasonably good enough cushion. And that doesn't make the tail look as bad as it once seemed. Now with Sundar also getting runs in Australia in the first innings of that 4th Test match. At 8, I think they'd play Kuldeep. At 9 they play Kuldeep. And at least my hunch is that they'll play Ishant and Bumrah. But I would actually rest Bumrah. And this is a bit of a controversial opinion, but I would rest Bumrah because I don't want to. At least I don't want to strain him too much, especially after he got an injury in Australia and with a possible World Test Championship final coming. Maybe India could look to rest him maybe in the latter half of the series, assuming they do well in the first half of the series. But I would like to play Ishant and Siraj at least for the instead of Ishant and Bumrah. But I think my hunch is Ishant and Bumrah will definitely play. So yeah.
Okay, and you, Vijay?
Yes, even I have the same feeling that Shubman Gill as well as Rohit Sharma is going to play. But I'm a huge fan of Mayank Agarwal. The way he started in Melbourne in 2018 was like a bright prospect. I felt like he's fine for Indian opener spot. Unfortunately, there was a couple of innings where he failed in Australia. That's fine. It's part and parcel of life. Obviously, he will get multiple opportunities, but at least at this point of time, he will stick with Shubman Gill as well as Rohit Sharma, and Puji is going to come one down, followed by the Ajinkya Rahane. And I have a different opinion compared to Krishna as of here. I'll go with Wriddhiman Saha instead of Rishabh Pant, because I understand that Rishabh Pant was the reason for the success what we tasted in Australia for a long time with incomplete squad, I can say. But however, my gut feeling is I would like to go with Wriddhiman Saha because this is a kind of series where we are not going to miss even a single catch. As a keeper, I'm not going to take any miscatches, any catches which are going to miss, because it's going to be a huge effect on the complete team. And the two, if that's the case, if the reason why I'm saying this is we are playing in Chennai continuously for 2 test matches. That means for 10 days we are going to play. At least like there will be gap for some time. However, the pitch will be exposed to the sun and the dryness will be increased, and the roughness and the patches, everything will be increased. And for sure, the second test match, it's going to start turning right from day 2. If the first test match, it might not be a ranked runner, but second test match, I'm sure that there is a lot of difference between the first and the second one. And that's the reason why my gut feeling is to go with Wriddhiman Saha. And after that, depending upon how Hardik Pandya, like whether he's ready to bowl or like whether he's completely fit enough to give at least 15 overs a day in a test match, then we can go with Hardik Pandya. Or else we still have the complete batting lineup like Hardik Pandya, Ravichandran Ashwin, Kuldeep Yadav, Bumrah, Ishant Sharma. I'll go with 3 bowlers, and my gut feeling is to go with Natarajan or Siraj, just to give them an opportunity, Natarajan or Siraj, to show how exactly the things will be there in India. Because Ishant also was not successful at the beginning in Indian soil. However, he improved at the later part of his career. Let these guys also start. I'll go with 2 spinners and 3 pace bowlers.
Interesting, very interesting. Okay, a very controversial opinion there, BJ. I love it, mate. Absolutely love it. There, Natarajan, Siraj, no Pant, Agarwal. Fantastic, man. I love the alternative opinions. Anurag, do you concur with BJ there? Would you do something similar, or what would your lineup be?
So, if I remember correctly, in one of the post-match presentations, Kohli had mentioned about the selection of Hardik Pandya. He told only if Hardik Pandya is ready to he's available to bowl in a test match, that is when he's going to be selected. So I'm pretty sure he's fit and raring to go and bowl in a test match. So I'm pretty sure with Kohli's obsession with all-rounders, he's going to pick him. So he'll be our second seamer, and there'll be 3 spinners, the hometown boys, Natarajan and Ashwin, partnered along with Kuldeep at the other end. And Bumrah would be the other pace bowler. So that will be my bowling. The top 5 pick themselves: Shubman Gill, Rohit Sharma, Pujara. Then it will be Virat Kohli, Ajinkya Rahane, and I'll slot Pant at number 7 and let Hardik Pandya go at 6.
Aditya, I'm seeing here there's no mention of Axar Patel. Obviously, he's much more of a like-for-like replacement for Jadeja. It seems to be it's either Sundar or Axar, not both. What would your lineup be, Aditya? Is there any kind of chance for Axar Patel to play in his test or this series?
Axar Patel is a very talented spinner, a very talented player, but I wouldn't have him in the team only because of the number of left-handers that England has, and to trouble the English batsmen a bit more, I'd go with Sundar. But my team generally would be Rohit Sharma, Shubman Gill, Cheteshwar Pujara, Virat Kohli, Ajinkya Rahane, Wriddhiman Saha, Washington Sundar, Ashwin, Kuldeep Yadav, Jasprit Bumrah, Ishant Sharma.
I can't believe that people don't. I mean, Lucy, I don't know what you're thinking now, but I hope that Shastri follows these guys' opinions and doesn't play Pants, because I am absolutely shitting it from facing Pants on Friday. I tell you, I mean, this guy just won 2 Test matches. I mean, his heroics on that final day in Brisbane is stuff of what that's what you remember. You tell your grandkids in 50 years' time. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. And I think it was at least 3 panelists there. They didn't pick Pan. He went with Sahar, Vijay, Aditya. Anurag, you did. I think Krishna, you might have dropped. Did you drop Pants as well? There was definitely 2 of you drop Pants.
No, I didn't drop Pant. I'm a huge fan of Pant, so I'm not gonna I'm not gonna drop Pant.
God, I wish he was English. I'd kill for a Pants in England colours. Bloody hell.
I don't think any of us dropped Pant. I think
Correctly.
none of us just played him because of the constraints of an 11-member team. There's no reason not to play Rishabh Pant, but Rishabh Pant is also untested as a fielder. We don't know what he's going to do. You can't pick him as a specialist batsman in India. I don't think that works. And as a keeper, on a ranked turner, definitely not.
Yeah,
he's still not there.
Batsman, but as a specialist keeper, we are a bit little cautious at this point of time.
I think he would absolutely feast on the likes of Dominic Best, like a mild Indian buffet. To be honest, I think he would dine out on Best all day. So I hope it doesn't play, to be honest. Anyway, right. We're gonna go to the return of the big man, Virat Kohli. King Kohli is back in the ranks. There was so much said of Virat Kohli, and I appreciate Rahane did superbly well leading the side in those final 3 tests against all odds. Basically, just all his plays, soldiers falling beside him, and he's still almost like the last man standing, picking net bowlers in Natarajan in that 3rd test. So what they did in Australia was credible, and all led by Rahane. And I must take a lot of humble pie because I was quite critical of him leading the side when Kohli departed. I didn't really think he had the cojones, if you know what I mean, to lead in Australia. But I proved me wrong. He was absolutely phenomenal. Now, obviously, it was talk about him. I think it's always a case of Emperor's New Clothes, isn't it? It's just like when Kohli was away. Oh, actually, Rahane's done so well. Maybe you should carry on leading the side, and then maybe just let Kohli, captain the white ball sides. I was vehemently disagreeing with that. I think Virat Kohli should definitely remain as Test captain. How do you think it affects the balancer side? Would the camp be affected in any way at all, from positive or negative, from Kohli coming back in? Vijay, I'll start with you.
Sorry, there was some network disconnection. That's the reason I haven't got your complete question. Do you mind repeating it one more time?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. So obviously, Kohli, we know, comes in and improves the batting immeasurably. Even that first test, he made 74 in the 2nd innings when they obviously after the abysmal 36 all out. He played himself very well in that 2nd innings. We know the batting is going to be strengthened. That's obvious. But from a leadership point of view, there was comments made in the social media and from journalists alike that was saying that maybe his style of captaincy, maybe that if Kohli was the captain, I thought it was quite ludicrous, but if Kohli was captain, India might not have won the series. Would you agree with that, Vijay? And do you think there's actually a tangible argument to say that Rahane should take over from leading the Indian side?
Yeah, even I was going through these posts in social media. Like many people are questioning me that what would be the situation if Kohli would have continued in Melbourne after the disappointing performance in Adelaide. And I would like to say that addition of Virat Kohli as a team member would give a serious boost for India in the ongoing series, which is going to happen for the 4 test matches. Coming to the captaincy, I would like to say that I would like to convey the same message which Ravi Shastri conveyed to the entire nation. And for that matter, it's conveyed to the complete world, stating that this team was completely built under the captaincy of Virat Kohli. And it's been transferred from generation to generation. Saurav Ganguly transferred it to next generation, which is like Dhoni. Like there are people like Rahul Dravid, Anil Kumble were there in the middle, and after that it was being transferred to Dhoni, and Dhoni transferred that to Kohli, and Kohli is carrying forward the burden of the country right now. And at some point of time, this is going to happen. Some other person is going to take it over. It might be Shubman Gill, it might be KL Rahul, it might be Ajinkya Rahane, and it will happen for sure. But at this point of time, I don't want to disturb the complete team. They have a serious, I can say that they seriously have a very good understanding, and the attitude of the complete team
We must have lost VJ there. I think. Just give it a few seconds. Oh.
Sorry for that. Are you able to hear me?
Sorry, it's becoming like the Indian squad in the Australia tour. We lost Anurag, then we almost lost you. Yeah, we're losing the guys. So, but yeah, no problem, VG. Yeah, if you carry on, mate. Yeah, so we lost you for the last like 30, 45 seconds.
Oh, sorry for that. Let me reiterate. Like the team has, the complete team has one attitude and one goal: be aggressive and go and play for the win. And I don't feel that there are any differences and any social media content is going to disturb the team. I'm sure that the team is in perfect balance at this point of time under the captaincy of Virat Kohli.
Cool, okay. So I'm just going to add Anurag's back. I thought maybe I offended him by questioning Kohli's leadership, maybe. But there we go. Christian, we'll head to you there, mate. What's your thoughts? Just I'll wrap up actually this topic, so I want to head to the next part of the show. But just your brief thoughts, really, Christian, on Kohli come back to the side.
It baffles
obviously.
It really baffles me that that people are asking for Kohli to be removed as the Test captain. I can understand T20 captain, I can understand ODI captain, but Kohli as a Test captain, guys, he's been. I mean, come on, man. He's been the best captain India's ever had in Test cricket. You can't. Yes, Ajinkya Rahane was fantastic. There's no doubt. But I mean, how can you deny that? Kohli's record as Indian captain is it's phenomenal. He's got you back to a number one spot on the ICC Test rankings. He's on the verge of making an ICC World Test Championship final. I mean, the guy has been phenomenal. Yes, Rahane has been good. I mean, he was great in Kohli's absence. But I guess having both Kohli and Rahane together in the leadership group for India can only be helpful to India's progress in Test cricket. So honestly, it surprises me. It baffles me. Honestly, it's quite a ridiculous move to remove Kohli as captain. I think it's really stupid. But yeah.
I think it's important to remember that Rahane also rose in the captaincy, only averaged 38 in the tour. He averaged 38. Obviously, apart from the 100, he didn't really do anything. And maybe I think he's one person personally. He took the captaincy element to his game away. He should be looking over his shoulder. The other batsmen that are available there. If Hardik Pandya comes back to the side, even as a batsman only, you could question Rahane's position. But anyway, that's probably for another day. I just want to move along, actually, guys, just to the next point. I want to kind of go from the players on the opposite side. So, Lucy, I'll head to you. From an England perspective, who should we really be fearful of? I mean, I've kind of already given my cards away before. But who would you be kind of fearful of from India?
I think for our bowlers, I think Virat Kohli could be a bit dangerous with the bat, maybe. Obviously, he's missed out a couple of games now and he's back. So I think he could score big in this series.
And from a bowling perspective, which Indian bowlers should we look out for?
So VJ mentioned a few, I think, or Krishna did. But obviously, we haven't played them in so long. So obviously, looking at the Australian series, it's just really people who took wickets then.
You think maybe Ashwin? Ashwin be a problem for us?
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
Ishan Sharma come back to the side. I mean, Ishan Sharma, if you remember him, I remember his bounce. I mean, that was what was incredible for me, Ishan Sharma. England being bounced out in 2014 at Lords, the home of cricket, being bounced by Ishan Sharma. That was when, because I used to give him a lot of stick, but you got to remember, he's been around for 13, 14 years now. I remember Shastri in the 07-08 Australia tour. Shastri was like, this guy's not quite ready. He's almost ready, because he was touted as the next big thing. Everybody went that way, did it? Over the last 5 years, he's really come to the fore. I actually think he'll do very well. Anurag, from the opposite side, who, if you hear anyone that is, maybe it's no one at all to fear, from an India perspective, who should you be concerned about from the England side? I think your mute's on there, Anurag. Yeah.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, there you are, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, so I definitely place my bets on Joe Root and Olipo. So they'll be holding that crucial middle order against spin bowling. So if they score the bulk of the runs in the middle overs and play as long as they can, then comes your Ben Stokes, who can play at a good strike rate and ensure the big totals are posted. And coming to the bowling, I'll have my senior seamers Anderson and Broad to wreck Rampage and make sure Indian batsmen are always troubled.
Aditya, you probably saw some of the English Lanka series. Obviously, I've given them. I appreciate them as solid spinners. I'm just not sure the effectiveness in India against those batsmen. Do you think they could do quite well out there? Should India be fearful of Dominic Bess and Jack Leach?
I don't think they should be fearful, but they should take them seriously because you never know who can really come to the party. And you know, Dom Bess is on his way up, so I have no doubt that irrespective of what he's got in the wickets column, he's going to take a lot of learning back and he'll emerge a better player. With that said, I do think that Dom Bess is going to be a key part of that England bowling attack. I also think Jofra Archer is going to be a key part of that bowling attack because you never know how pace plays a role early on when wickets are good and they're fresh. So I think having a guy who can bowl 90 miles per hour, 95 miles per hour will certainly test the Indian batsman early on.
Vijay, we saw Hasib Hamid really come to the fore and get a lot of spotlight 4 years ago. I think Virat Kohli himself was very through some very positive comments Hasib Hamid's way. I mean, his career's completely nosedived since then, but irrespective of that, I say a very good tour. Could this be the tour where one England player really stands out and makes a name for himself? I'm looking to like sort of Rory Burns, who's had a fairly mediocre career, averaging only 32 in Test matches. Must play white ball game yet for England. Or a Dominic Sibley, or a Dan Lawrence, or even a Johnny Bairstow. Could he play the last 3 Test matches? Or Ben Foakes even, who is due to play the last 3 Test matches. Could this be the tour where one England player becomes the breakout star?
Yes, and even I was completely disappointed when Hasib Hamid. I haven't seen him after that particular series. I think there was some injury in the 3rd Test match or 4th Test match. After that, I haven't got a chance to see him once again in the Test arena. I was completely disappointed with that. He was like amazing. He was playing the spin as a subcontinent player, and he would have been very helpful for the English team when they are visiting any of the subcontinent. For that matter, yes, these guys, yes, I'm sure that the technique which Hasib shown in that particular series, if they can go whoever is opening this particular series for England should go with the same kind of technique. And I'm sure that Burns also have got good record against India, but not in the subcontinent. I'm sure about that. And with the kind of average which Hamid had in that particular series, yes, the technique would be really very helpful for the team.
Okay. And you, Krishna, who should India be mindful of going into the series from an England perspective?
Well, from the bowling perspective, I think Archer is probably the biggest weapon. I think Archer is if there's any answer that England has to India's batsman, I think it's Archer. I don't see Bess, Leach, and Ali, at least at the moment. They don't pose a threat, if you will. They I think Anurag or Aditya said, India should take them seriously, but they're not going to be fearful of them. But I think Archer will be the key here. If Archer can sort of remove those openers and get Kohli, get Rahane in early to bat, I think England have a chance. I think for English batsmen, of course, Joe Root, the onus is going to be on Joe Root, and much of the series will depend on how Joe Root proceeds and how he does well in the series. But I think if there's anybody who also should step up, Ben Stokes, but Ben Stokes really hasn't had a great outing in India thus far in Test cricket. He's not actually not just the Indian Indian pitches, but even the Indian subcontinent, which includes like all the Asian countries. So Ben Stokes has not been successful so far. He averages, I think, like 25, 26, maybe. I think if I'm not wrong. So his success will be key for England's success, and I think also if there's one batsman I would like to play as like a sort of punt here, I would like to play Ben Foakes as a batsman. Actually,
that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to play Ben Foakes as a batsman. I think if Joe Root's batting at 4, maybe Ben Foakes at 3, or some people said Ben Stokes at 3, which I think may not be the best idea. But Ben Foakes at 3, just give him a little push. Say, go on, son, get some runs. Maybe that might be something that sort of surprises India, because I think England need a bit of a surprise here to give India a run for their money. So yeah, that's something I would actually do.
I think it's an excellent point that I think if England could throw a curveball, because India's planning will not be around Ben Foakes, I can guarantee that. There's no way they'll be planning for Ben Foakes bat at 3. And you could throw him that kind of a curveball just, the morning of the test match, you give him the test sheets to the captain. Because my concern is a little bit that Ollie Pope's back from injury, Stokes been out for a while. I'm not fully confident in the likes of Rory Burns, Dominic Sibley, top of the order, and needs some solidity there. You can't just base a whole batting order around 2 guys in Root and potentially Stokes. So someone like Foakes has experience, did so well in Sri Lanka 2 years ago. Obviously, he was dropped, wasn't he? He's been messed around a little bit, but that's, I think, quite a good shot, Krishna. So from guys, I think we should wrap it up. I think we'll go to predictions. Just quick fire. Just let me know what your thoughts are. We'll start with VJ. What do you expect for the 4 test match series? In fact, actually, what we'll do is this test and the overall series.
I think this first test is going towards India, and the whole series will be 2-1.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, what do you think will be a draw through weather? Or do you think England will grind out a draw somewhere?
Probably England might fight their blood for saving the test match, as we did in Sydney.
Okay. Anurag?
Yeah, so it will be a very competitive series, but I'll go with the scoreline of 2-1. But the only chance of England beating India would be in Motera, because it is a relatively new stadium, which neither of the teams are aware of the conditions. So why not the away team come and exploit the conditions and drop us?
Do you think it might be a case, Anurag, that India might have coasted the series, be 2-0 up going into that 4 test match and then maybe lose? Or do you think it will remain competitive till the final test match?
I'm sorry, I didn't pick the question.
Do you think there'll be a case of India kind of coast the first 3 test matches, gain an unassailable lead in the series, and then England might pick one up, like they've done in so many Ashes tours over the 30 years I've been following them? They pick up the kind of they're throwing a bone basically in Australia, give them 1 test match at the end. Could it be something similar for England this time? Do you think, or do you think England will remain competitive throughout the series?
I mean, with Chepauk being a very well-known ground for the home team, they'll probably rampage in the first 2 test matches. But when it comes to Motera, England will have their chances to take. So it'll be 2-1 there.
Okay. Aditya?
Well, I think predictions should be outrageous, so I'm going to go with 4-0. 4-0 India.
True Indian fan.
Okay, Lucy, I head to you. Come on, you give us a 4-0 to England, right? Got to hit back.
I'd say 3-1 to England, I would, but
Okay, is that a legitimate prediction? 3-1 England, yeah?
Yeah.
Loving it. That's it. You should be wearing this cap, not me. Should be probably good. Krishna, obviously I think you did give your prediction, did you?
I actually, so here's the thing, that I'm not one to give predictions. I hate giving predictions, because the thing is, every time I predict something, the exact opposite happens. So I'm not going to say what I predict here, but I do have a hunch. And you asked me about the Chennai test. I do have a hunch that England is going to cause some problems to India in this first test. I don't know about the rest of the test series, but you know what? It's a bunch of this is an English podcast. Why not 4-0 to England? Why not? Why not? Why not?
You should do every podcast to me with that kind of enthusiasm, Krishna. You're more enthusiastic than I am, and I'm hosting the show.
Right.
I think you might be right on that, Krishna, because England, I think, are really hungry. India might come in a little bit cold. People in, people out. Obviously, Kohli's back. I think India might be. I'm not taking they'll take England lightly, but they know what's happened here. Bairstow's not in the first test match. Stokes is back, a bit cold. They might think, England, we can just roll these guys potentially, or maybe not be as competitive. But we'll see. I'm gonna personally go. I should maybe wear an India cap and say, because I'm gonna go 3-0 India. I'm gonna say that England will eke out a draw somewhere. I just don't see how they take 20 wickets in this test series. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. They might have a chance, as Anurag mentioned. I'm about in the third or fourth test match, and they may get if it's 3-1. But I'm also a bit appalled really about the selection how it's been kind of managed. I don't believe we're putting our best side on the park. Being completely honest, the Bears should be in the side. I think it's very unfortunate. I mean, I had the stats up here actually. So in the last tour, he played all 5 matches and averaged 44. I mean, Root averaged 49, but the second high. I mean, forget about Liam Dawson in one Test match, but he averaged 44 in the full series. Yeah, he's not playing the first Test match. But anyway, that's for another day. Why that's happened. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. I think England are really going to miss Sam Curran in the series. If there was anyone who could sort of cause problems, because 2018 India didn't expect Sam Curran. They had no plans for Sam Curran. So and Sam Curran is a pretty lethal guy. So I don't know. I was really surprised that Sam Curran wasn't picked for the series.
But would you say he's more of a known quantity now after playing 2 seasons of IPL for Punjab and Chennai? Would you say he's more of a known quantity in India? To India?
I didn't get your question.
I think in 2018, obviously, he came as a raw 20-year-old at the time, but obviously now he's a much more known quantity, quantity to India because he played the 2019 and 2020 IPL. Obviously, he's played India as well for Punjab and obviously last year for Chennai. He's been retained as well. He's not a guy that people will not know about anymore. Obviously, so maybe less of a kind of a surprise factor. I think your Ben Foakes comment was very much like that. A guy out, left wing come in and they don't know what to do, necessarily straight away. But what I would say is Sam Curran offers that left arm option. So from that perspective, that might be some, bit different.
Yeah, and also he offers a bit of, I guess a little bit of an aggressive batting down at 7-8, I think which could, if England need, say, they're trailing behind 60-70, they're 6 down, 7 down, a guy like Sam Curran in there can probably take you over that line. I don't see somebody like Archer or somebody like a Dom Bess, maybe even a Jack Leach also taking you across that line. So I think, Sam Curran there at 8 would have been interesting. At least I would have liked to have the option, if not play him in the 11. So. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So we've got 2-1s. We've got a 4-0 to England, a 4-0 to India. We've got a 3-0. We've got a variety of options. So we'll look back at this in a few weeks' time and see what's closest. We'll see anyway. Unfortunately, Lucy, I'm sorry. I don't think it's going to be 3-1 to England. I think that's probably going to first way, unfortunately. But I hope you are right. We'll see. Guys, where can we find you on social? So Vijay, are you on Twitter, Instagram? Where can we find you?
I'm on Twitter as well as Facebook. Even on Instagram, I am there. And it's same at Natwa Vijay. And I have messaged on WhatsApp group actually. Anyways, I can go ahead and can ping it one more time on this group chat. And this is my ID, and you can find with this on Twitter, Facebook, as well as Instagram.
What I'll do is actually I'll put everyone's kind of links in the description box, so people who watch maybe tomorrow or the day after can find you guys. And right, where can we find you, mate?
I'm on Twitter and Facebook as well.
What's your handle? Is it you got quite a funny handle, haven't you, at Twitter? What was it again?
Twitter one was obvious, Madlet.
That's right. Okay, well, I'll put in the description box. There we go. And Aditya?
At Aditya U Mehta on Instagram and Twitter, and Aditya Mehta on Facebook.
Lucy?
Yeah, my Twitter's here, where my finger there is. And my Instagram's Lucy Reset.
Aditya and Lucy, I know for Cricket Fanatics magazine, a South African publication, very big channel over there, doing some great stuff online for South African cricket. And you'll see Aditya in particular, most days, you will see him on there doing his stuff. And Lucy, you've written as well, haven't you? You've written some articles, I believe, some online publications.
Yeah, so I've written for Vox Cricket on Twitter, and I write a few times for Cricket Fanatics magazine as well.
Fantastic. Krishna, we can see you, can hear you singing, we can do everything, can't we, when it comes to you? Where's the best place to catch you, mate?
Instagram, my Instagram handle is my name right there, right over here. Yeah, right there. Krishna_Kalki _ because Instagram. And you can also catch me on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel where I post covers, I post videos. I also do rap reviews on cricket. So I write songs about cricket matches and post them on that. So go check them out. I did 4 for India versus Australia, and a lot of people liked it. So go ahead, check that out. And I'm also there on Facebook at Krishna the Kalk.
Fantastic. I actually subscribed to Krishna's YouTube channel and his Instagram follow, and say he's got quite a variety of content on there. It's very cool. It's very nice. So yeah, it's great. Thank you guys so much for this. I appreciate you taking your time out, especially you guys who obviously in India. Obviously, it's quite late over there. I appreciate that. I mean, Krishna, you literally need to fall backwards and you can go to bed. So you're nicely set up there, aren't you?
Of course, absolutely.
Exactly, just for being sorted, mate. But yeah, I hope to get you guys back on for the first Test match wrap. Hopefully, it won't be in 2 or 3 days' time. Hopefully, hopefully we can get to at least the 4th day before we meet again. So we'll see. But yeah, thanks again so much, guys. In the comments, we've had a couple of comments come in, Braden and Pramod. And yeah, it's just thank you for that. Thanks to the guys obviously coming on the stream. And people in and out of the stream. I appreciate time is not great for England, but yeah, it's been good. And yeah, hope to see you next time. Thanks so much. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers. Good night.